What's up guys, it's Josh from KeepItTechie, and today I want to do a quick video showing you guys the most powerful command in the Linux operating system. Now, as I stated in the intro of the video, I want to show you guys the most powerful command that you can run within the Linux operating system. And this command is called AWK. AWK has been around for a very long time, and the spelling of it is AWK, and that basically stands for the initials of the people that actually developed the application. And actually, it's not an application or program or command line utility only, it's an actual programming language that was created by these guys back in 1977. And the programming language is basically used to process data. And what I mean by that is you could do a lot of things with this actual command. And one of the reasons I really wanted to focus in on this command is because I know a lot of cybersecurity professionals actually use this within the field when they're parsing through logs and searching for information, as well as doing analysis on log files. And AWK is a very important application that you guys want to actually learn how to use, or it's a command line utility that you want to learn how to use. Now, let me go down and switch over to the man page so I can read a little bit about it right fast so you guys can get a understanding of how to actually use the AWK command. And then I'll focus in and do a couple demonstrations so you guys can get some examples for you to follow along, so you can get a base idea of how to actually use the AWK command so you can start using it today. Now let's get started. Okay, cool. So I found a man page for the AWK command online because a lot of times, well, some of the distributions I've ran into, for some reason there isn't a man page. I know in my Arch version that I have, it doesn't have a man page for the AWK command, but it is installed. So I just wanted to read a little bit on this page, and I also found the user guide on the GNU page that will have a way better explanation of what the command is actually used for. Now, here is an example. This is the name. It says AWK, Pattern Scanning and Processing Language. And this is the synopsis that you can use, the AWK command with the options, and then programs as well, arguments and all that stuff. And then the actual file name after that. And I won't read this description, I'll read the one on the other page, but I want to show you guys the options here. So here are a few of the options right here. So dash capital F, dash lowercase f, dash V. And I won't go through these. I'm gonna just show you some of the basic options and variables that you can actually use. I'll kind of walk through some basic ones just to show you guys, but check out this page. I'm gonna put the link to this page in the description of the video, as well as the GNU AWK user guide, because like I stated, this is a very complex application or program / programming language. And what it states on here, I was just going to read the getting started with AWK. It says the basic functions of AWK is to search files for lines or other units of text that contain certain patterns. When a line matches one of the patterns, AWK performs specified action on that line. So it's almost like a search function for the cat command, so to speak. So if you cat something, you know how it just cats out everything? Well, AWK, what you could do is specify certain things that you want to query from the text and spit it out for you on the screen, just like the cat command. So that's a base understanding. I just wanted to, kind of relate it to another command that's out there that actually does something similar. But it says AWK performs specified action on that line. It says AWK continues to process input lines in this way until it reaches the end of the input file. And then it says programs in AWK are different from programs in most other languages. Because AWK programs are data driven, you describe the data you want to work with and then what you do when you find it. Most other languages are procedural. You have to describe in great detail every step the program should take. When working with procedural languages, it is usually much harder to clearly describe the data your program will process. For this reason, AWK programs are often refreshingly easy to read and write. When you run AWK, you specify the AWK program that tells AWK what to do. The program consists of a series of rules. It may also contain function definitions and advanced features that we will ignore for now. So anyway, if you want to get a better understanding of the AWK command, this is a great resource that you guys should check out. It's gnu.org. And then they have a man page for the AWK programming language, and actually it's the GAWK. They have a updated version called GAWK, GAWK. That's the GNU version, but it's pretty much the same exact thing. I believe it just has a little bit more features in it. But we're gonna go through the AWK command, and like I said, I'll put this link in the description of the video as well. So let's go down and get over to the command line and get started with some examples. Now we at the command line, and the first thing I want to do is kind of explain what I did. I went through and found a file that I downloaded from the web. It was basically a CSV, and what I did was modify it so I could have some data just to play around with. I removed all the commas from each column and put spaces in between the words so it'll be easier for AWK to actually work with. It'll kind of fall in line with the way log files actually look, because I didn't want to mess around with my log files. I just wanted to go on and show you guys some sample data that is similar to logs, and you can do the exact same thing you would do with your log files with this file that I created. Now let's go down and cd to that directory right fast. So let's go cd, I think I call it test directory, I believe. And then let me ls this directory just to try to find the file. And yes, this is the file name that we're gonna play around with. And it doesn't matter what the extension is. Yeah, it could be a txt, or it doesn't have to have an extension, but it is a CSV. Well, it's in the CSV format, somewhat, without the commas in it. It has spaces in there, similar to the way log files work. So let's go on and cat out that actual file right fast. So let's go cat file, and I spelled that wrong, but file example, press enter, and as you can see, we have some data here. We have a number line or a column with the numbers of records that's in the actual table, and then we have first name, last name, whether they're male or female, the country of origin, and then the age, and then the date, whatever date, and then this is an ID based on what I'm saying. So let's say this is like a company's database or a table with all the people that work for the company, and that could be like a ID, employee ID number or something like that. Now let's go on and run the awk command and basically do the exact same thing as the cat command. So let's type awk, and the format is you have to put a single quote and then the squiggly line bracket. That's what I call it. I'm not sure what the official name for it is, but that's what I'm gonna call it. And then the close squiggly line, and then the close single quote, and then we have to specify the file name. So it's file that .csv file, press enter, and it'll print out just like the CSV. And it doesn't look like anything changed. It processed like super fast, so it doesn't even look like it did anything, but that's the exact same data. It was ran through awk. So I just kind of wanted to show you at least the base way of actually running a command. That's just a print out of everything, all the content that's in that actual file. Now, the first thing I kind of want to do is show you guys how to parse out some data or query some of the data that's in this actual file. So each line, you know, is specified or designated with a return. So that's the next line. So it's going to search each one of these lines and look for a keyword that I type in or a query word that I'm looking for. And so the easiest one to use is the gender. So let's roll with that. And That's a up arrow, so I don't have to type everything in. But in order to search for something, you have to put it between forward slashes. So if we type forward slash, and let's type male, let's only look for the males, and I'm gonna type it like that. And then let's put the forward slash there, let's put a space there, and you have to make sure it's within these single quotes, because if you think about it, this is all everything that you want ARC to process, so it has to be in these single quotes. And if you have multiple different things, you know, happening in here, then it has to be in quotes for the spaces and all that stuff. So let's go down and press enter, and this will search for all the males. Boom. And as you can see, if we look at it, you'll see nothing but male results. So the male, and you can do the exact same thing. Let's say you want to look at the country of origin or something like that. So let's just type US and press enter, and as you can see, it pulls in all the US, you know. And then let's say you want to look at two different numbers or whatever, or two different query words that you want to use to actually search. Let's say you want to look for let's start off with the gender again. So let's go male, and then forward slash, and then what you have to do is put the ampersand in between. It's kind of like queries. If you're a database guy, then you'll easily kind of pick this up. It's kind of like a SQL. When you're writing SQL, you have to specify your search terms, or you know what you're querying. You have to put it in like a single quote or something like that, equals, or like this column equals, you know, this word, and you have to put it like in a quote. Or if it's a number, you can just type out the number and you get to go, and then run the query and it'll search. Well, if you're looking for more than one column, or you have more than one criteria for the lines that you want to pull, and you have to put a ampersand in between to do that. Now let's go down and run this. It's going to look for male and US, and press enter, and as you can see, it pulled in nothing but US and male. And then you can obviously do the exact same thing for female if you want to run female. So I'm gonna run that as well, just so you guys can get, you know, a clear understanding. But there you go, nothing but the females in the US. Alright, cool. So the next thing I want to show you guys is there are some variables that you can use, some built-in variables that'll allow you to pull certain columns. And let me show you exactly what I mean by that. So you got your first column, second column, third column, fourth column, fifth column, sixth column, seventh column, eighth column, and they're separated by these spaces. And if we look at the top of the text file, which I'm not going to go all the way up to the top, but there is a title column which kind of breaks down each one of those columns, you know, all the way down. So if you want to pull in your own columns, or if you want to pull in a specific column that's searched, then there are these variables in there, and they're represented by the $, and then you could put the respective number that you want to actually pull up or print out. Now 0, the first one, is it actually pulls the entire line. But let's say you want to pull the first column, which is 5,000 right here, then it's $1, and then for the first name is $2. So that just kind of breaks it out for you, but that's the way it actually works. That's that variable. Now you could throw that into the actual command itself that we just wrote. So I'm not gonna, let me see, I'm gonna go all the way to the end, and actually let's back some of this off. And one thing you have to do is put it within the print area. So you want to put space, that's typically what I do, and then the $, and let's say whatever column that we want to put in there. So let's say we want to look at the first names for all the females in US. So I'm gonna go to the end, and I'm gonna type out that file name. So file name, and press enter. And as you can see, it only pulled in the first name, which is the second column. And if you look at it, or if we go back here, and put 1 in there, then it'll pull in that, you know, number line that we have there. So that's all the female and US. And let's go up to where we printed them all out, where it printed out the full line, just so I can find out what column it is. So it's the 4th column. So just so you guys know that I am pulling strictly females. And let me delete some of this off right fast. For some reason I can't see my cursor. This always happens when I'm in the command line. Crap. Let me go down and delete that off. Okay, so let's specify the 4th column right fast. So let's type in the $, and then 4. So that's what we want to print out, the 4th column. So, and like I said, I just wanted to show you guys that it is parsing out or querying out all the females from the list. And for some reason my terminal cursor is gone and I cannot get it back, so it's kind of hard for me to find out the position I'm in right now. I may have to restart my computer and come back. But that basically explains those variables that you can use in order to pull out specific columns. Now let me show you guys another variable that you can actually use on here. So I'm gonna run this the basic print out right fast, where it prints out everything. I'm just trying to find it right fast. There we go. So that prints out everything. Now what I'm gonna do is show you guys how to actually add numbers to your lines. So let's say, you know, it didn't have this number column right here that already counts out the amount of records. Well, one thing you could do is add those numbers. There's a built-in variable for the awk command that allows you to print out the number of lines that are in the text file. Now let's type that in right fast. So let's type awk, and then we have to put the single quote and then the squiggly line. Let's go print, and then let's close the squiggly line. Well, actually no, we're not going to do that. We actually have to use that variable, which is NR. And sorry I didn't explain that, but that's basically what you want to use, is NR. And then you also want to add in, you know, the full line. So let's count out the full lines. So we could put that in there. Let's close the bracket and then put the single quote at the end. And then we have to specify the file name again and press enter. And this should print out all the files, or all the rows, but it adds a number line to it. And the reason it's 5001 is because the top line has a title line. It's basically a title line that just tells you what is in each column, like I stated earlier. So that's why it's off by 1. So it counts that first line, that title line, but in the data it only counts the data. So that's why it's off by like 1. I just wanted to kind of explain that so you guys would know that it's actually working. But that will number each line within the text file. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you guys is, but let's say you don't know how many columns is in here. So let's say you only want to pull that last line or that last column within the, or last field, so to speak. There is another built-in variable that you can use. It's actually $NF, and that'll pull the last field of each line. So let me go on and type that in right fast so you guys can see. I'm actually just type it out since I can't see my cursor, but awk, and then let's put the single quote, then the open bracket, and then print. And then let's say we want to look at the second column, which is the first name, and then we also want to look at the last field. And I'm sorry, I misspoke, but the second field, and let's say the last field, which is that ID that we had at the end, like employee ID or something. So if we don't know how many columns is in there or how many fields is on that line, then we can use the NF built-in variable, which is $NF. And then let's go down and close out the bracket, boom, and then let's put the single quote at the end, and then the file name again and press enter. And as you can see, it pulls the first name and then the ID number, which is the last one. So that variable right there, the $NF, is built in, that looks at the last field for that line and pulls it into whatever you specify before that. You know what I'm saying? Pulls it in with that. So that's a super cool feature. In case, you know, it's a very long like log file and you only want to grab the last thing, that's something you can use to actually get it. Now the next thing I kind of want to do is show you guys how to actually pull the lines themselves, like a number amount of lines themselves. So let's say you don't, or let's say you only want to look at the top 10 lines in this log file. Well, there's a way to actually do it by assigning them to a variable of in order. So this is where it gets a little bit more complicated, but it's not too bad. You guys should be able to catch this. But let's type AWK, and then let's do the open single quote, and then now let's type in or. So we specify in this variable, and we want to give it the start line and then the end line. So like I said, we want to look at the top 10 records. So let's go equals, and then let's start off with line 2. Well, actually I'm gonna start with line 1 so you guys can see that title column that I was talking about, or title row that I was talking about. And then let's type a comma in there, and then we have to specify the end of where we want to stop at. So let's go in or, and then let's type equal again, and then let's type 10, which is the last line we want to pull in. Now let's print it out by typing in the print command or the print variable. Let's type print, and now we have to pull in or. So let's type in or. That's basically what we're telling the print to pull in the number of lines that are specified within that variable of in or. And then after that, you can specify, let's say you want to pull in the whole line, so we can do that $0, and I want to throw that in there so you guys can, you know, get an idea of how to actually use that, because I didn't do an example of that because it doesn't make sense by using the $0, because it's going to pull in the exact same thing if you don't put anything there. So just to specify it in something, that's why I put it in here. So now let's type in the file name and press enter, and as you can see, it pulls in the top 10 lines, and it also numbers them. Now, like what I was saying, this is that title line, that title column, which is number 1. That's why it actually pulled in that line or numbered that line as well, because it looks at everything as the data within it. But since a CSV is kind of made to be opened in Excel or something like that, you need to have a title line in there so you can know what the data is. So let me go down and pull it in without specifying the title line, and then let's specify the second field or second row line, so to speak. So we'll exclude that title line, so we'll only be pulling in the top 10 records within there by doing 2 to 11. That'll be the top 10 records. So let's press enter. Boom. As you can see, it pulls in the top 10 records, and it's off or whatever, you know what I'm saying, because you can actually exclude lines and it's going to calculate those lines as not being there, so it'll start from where you stop at, basically, or where you specify to start at, but it still recognizes the records that are above it. So like for instance, the title line is gone, it's not being pulled in, it recognizes it still as the first line. So when it numbers it, it's going to start at number 2. So it's not going to go on and put like 1 here through 10 or 1 through 10. It's going to specify it as the second record, because actuality it is the second record. Now, one of the last things I wanted to show you guys is something super cool that I found. but it's a way to count the number of lines in a file. Let's say you need to quickly find out how many lines of data is in here. So let's go on and type awk, and then what you have to do is type the single quote and then type END for end, and then let's go on and put the print in here. So we're going to print, and then we have to use a variable in R, and then let's close out the brackets, and then close out the quote, and then let's type the file name in there again and press enter, and it should count out the number of lines in the data. And as you can see, it does. So it's 5001. You know what I'm saying? So if we exclude that title column, then it's 5,000 files or records within the table, so to speak. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I hope this video actually helps you get started with using AWK, because like I stated in the beginning of the video, based on what I've been told, this command is actually being used a lot in cybersecurity to analyze files. So understanding this will definitely benefit you when you start getting into the field of cybersecurity. So and as well as a systems administrator on the Linux side, you know, just doing strictly Linux systems administration work, the awk command is something that'll help you analyze files to fix issues that may pop up on your server. And you can also, you know, create reports using this, so you can output this out to specific other specific file formats or whatever, you know, with your results of whatever you're researching based on the file formats that you're getting it from. But please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, keep it techie.